Hi, in this video we will talk about the features of Intellibot Design Studio, and also demonstrate how to use these features. Intellibot Design Studio has been developed keeping RPA developers in mind. Our studio's ability to abstract functionality into reusable blocks called components, is what makes it one of the easiest RPA platforms in the market today. Topics that we will cover in this video are 1. Design surface, components and properties. 2. Control and data ports. 3. Solution Explorer and activities and 4. Connectors. Let us start with the design surface. This area is called the workflow design surface. It has two default components called start and end. These components cannot be deleted. We do all the automation design working this area. On the left-hand side of the Design Studio we have the Components toolbox. Components are listed under multiple categories and a user can look for these by using the toolbox search window. Once you have gone through this video, do feel free to explore all the other components by referring to the individual help videos that are available on our site and learn how to use each one of them. The first set of components listed in the toolbox are user actions. As you can see, actions lists all the basic operations a user can perform by using monitor, keyboard and a mouse. For instance, click component is used to click on the screen. Similarly, the set text or type components are used to input keyboard characters. To read information from the screen, we have OCR text component. Now, let's talk about the components in detail. Let us take the set text component as an example and explore it further. You might have figured out by now, that to use a component, we need to drag and drop it on the design surface. Each component has multiple properties that appear in the property window, located at the right-hand bottom corner of the Design Studio. Some properties are common for all the components, while other properties are specific to each component. Do explore these properties as they help and fine-tune the functionality of these components. Note that we can also double-click on some components to access all the features. For example, the action set. The next set of features that I would like to talk about are control and data ports. The silver ports are called control ports, and the golden ports are called data ports. Both these ports have two subcategories, input ports and output ports. Input ports always appear on the left of the component, and the output ports always appear on the right of the component. Going by this logic, this is a control in port, these two are control out ports, and this is a data in port. This component does not have a data out port. There are a few exceptions and these are covered in the individual component videos. If we hover the mouse over these ports it will show us the function of each of these ports. Control ports, as the name suggests, are used to tell the studio which component to execute next, while the data ports are used to transfer data between components. Arrowheads on the connection lines indicate the flow of direction. Let us see how they are used. To demonstrate the use of control and data ports, we will use the set text component in the Windows Notepad application. Since this is a user action component, the application we want to work with has to be on our screen. Let me launch the Notepad app now. To set text in Notepad, we need to click on the camera button inside the set text component. As soon as we do that you will notice a message flashing on the screen asking us to press Ctrl plus Shift. Bring the target application, in this case Notepad, into the view and then press Ctrl and Shift keys together. The cursor should change to a crosshair. Now we will draw a decent sized square or a rectangle around the Notepad application by keeping the left mouse button pressed. As we release the mouse button, the image will appear inside the set text component. Now, we will move the green crosshair to the spot where we want to set the text. So far, we have defined where we need to input the text, but not the text itself. To define the text, let us pull in another component called variable from the toolbox where we will store the text. Double-click on it, to set the text and type the text that we want to send to the Notepad application. To complete this automation all we now need to do is, connect the control ports and data ports in a logical order. As you can see we have now connected the default start component's control out port to the control in port of the variable and control out port of the variable to the control in port of the set text component. This tells the studio, to first declare a variable with the value welcome to Intellibot, then execute the set text component. We have also connected the data out port of the variable to the data in port of the set text component, to pass the variable content to the set text component. It is that easy. Now when we click on the Run button, we will see that the text Welcome to Intellibot appears inside the Notepad application. Another approach to set data, is to override the field. To do so, we will right-click on the field that we are trying to override, and then click on Override. A pop-up will provide multiple override options, such as connection, static, and variable. You will find this functionality useful while working on automation projects. So far, we have used one out of the two control out ports. Let us now see what the second control out port does and how we can use it. As the name suggests, it is a control out port for when the control fails. That means the control will be passed to this port if for some reason, the setText component was unable to perform the action. Let us try it out. Drag and drop a message box component from the general category of the toolbox, and set the message to component failed. Now, to test the application for a component failed scenario, let us minimize the Notepad application and run the automation. As expected, the setText component failed to set the text and sent the control to the message box. You can also see that the setText component is displaying an error notification. You can click on it for more details. Let us move forward. Now, let's spend some time on exploring the features of Project Explorer. The Project Explorer shows all the artifacts used in the current automation project, such as references, activities, variables and connectors. So far, we were working on an activity called main. It is the default activity from where the automation execution starts. We have used one variable in this project, and it is displayed under the activity. We can create another activity by right-clicking on the activities icon and selecting New Activity. This new activity is a reusable design surface where we can design subparts of an automation. Similar to components, activities can also be dragged and dropped into the main activity and used as a component. To demonstrate this, we will delete the message box and replace it with an activity that will perform the same function. First, let us rename the new activity to Message Box Activity. Now double-click on the Message Box Activity in the Project Explorer to open it in the design surface. Now we will drag and drop a message box component, and enter the text message as, component failed to execute to. We will then connect the default entry port of the start component to the control in port of the message box, followed by connecting the control out port of the message box to the end component. To use this message box activity, in the main activity, open the main activity and simply drag it from the Project Explorer to the design surface, and connect it in place of the message box component. Hit the Run button now. Studio will execute the message box activity as the notepad is not on the screen. Now, let us see how to pass data between the activities. In this automation project, let us say that we want the main activity to pass on a message, which then should be displayed in the message box. To do so, first create a new variable by clicking on the plus icon in the variable box, and enter the value as component failed. Now open the message box activity again, and click on the plus icon of the start component. A new variable data out port will appear. Now right-click on the message box area and select Override. Then on the port property page, click on Connection, followed by the OK button. Now connect the data out port of the start component to the data in port of the message box. Let us go back to the main activity. As you can see, the message box activity is now showing a data in port. Simply connect the new variable data out port to the data in port of the message box activity. Let us now execute this flow and see what happens. There we have it. The last feature that we will review in this video are the connectors. They are grouped under the Connectors section of the toolbox. Connectors enable direct connection to different resources. Connectors are different from components, as they expose methods and properties that simplify the automation design process. Also, connectors maintain the session with resources they are dealing with, and we can perform various operations on the session. To demonstrate the functionality of connectors, let's use an Excel connector. Let us first create a new activity and rename it as Excel Demo, then right-click on it and select Mark as Startup. This will change the default startup activity from main to Excel Demo. To add the Microsoft Excel connector to our Excel Demo activity, we will drag it from the toolbox onto the main activity. Here, if we double-click on the connector in the Project Explorer, the Object Explorer at the bottom left corner will display its properties and methods. We will now rename the connector to reflect the file that we will be working on. This will help us in scenarios wherein we have to use multiple Excel files in a project. To work on an Excel file, we will open the Object Properties, and drag the File Path property onto the design surface. Now we will enter the path of the Excel file that we want to use in the automation project. Next, drag and drop the Open method from Object Explorer to the design surface. Connect the objects in logical order and there, we are done. As you can see, all the methods and properties indicate the name of the connector. Hence it is easy to identify the file we are working on. Remember, connectors maintain a session with the resources that they are dealing with, until we close them as part of the automation. To do so, drag the close method on the design surface and use it appropriately. We can work on more than one Excel file in a given project. To do so, drag another Excel connector from the toolbox to the Excel demo activity, and repeat the above process. Do explore the various properties and methods available with the Excel connector in order to learn how to use connectors properly. That brings us to the end of this video presentation. We hope that you now have a fair understanding on how to simplify your processes by automating repetitive tasks using Intellibot's Design Studio. Do visit the training video page on our website in order to watch the detailed videos for each of the components, or visit our community forum if you need further assistance. Happy learning and goodbye.